Good morning, Cape Town.
This is Lester Kivett on CapeTalk.
19 minutes to 7 o'clock on Money. On a Monday, we usually look at how you can save a little bob. Keep some money in your pocketbook, in your purse, in your bank account. South Africa's cost of living crisis is worsening, and particularly as winter looms. Consumer inflation accelerating to a 14-year high in March. Food inflation was 14.4%, and particularly with the most basic of items being the major contributors to food price inflation. Everything has gone up in price, especially our daily household essentials. Retailers often purport to say we have the specials to make life just a little bit cheaper. But what about buying an entire carton of baked beans, a whole box of muesli bars? Gosh, 100 rolls of toilet paper at a time. We do have the mass or the bulk discount stores in South Africa, but Catherine Madley is the Vice President of Group Marketing at Massmart, includes stores like Macro. Catherine, thanks so much for joining us. Let's just going back to the history of the bulk store concept in South Africa. Macro was once a wholesaler geared towards smaller retailers. Is it still used as such, with smaller retailers, small stores coming to Macro to buy in bulk, or have we seen a more general consumer market turning to bulk buying to save costs in the long run? Good morning, Catherine.
Morning, Lester. Yes, I think it's a tale of three parts for Macro. I mean, Macro has been in South Africa for more than 50 years, and like you correctly say, entered the market for bulk buying very quick to do wholesale value for the public.
Catherine, we're going to send you back to Bruce, try and get you on a better line. But have you tried? I know it's for families living from paycheck to paycheck, it's very difficult to go to a bulk buying store and to buy 3, 4, 5, 6 months of groceries. It's simply not possible for many families. But for those who maybe do have an extra budget to stretch, is this something that you've been doing? 021 446 0567. You can drop me a WhatsApp 072 567 1567. Do we have Catherine ready to come back on with us? As soon as she turns green, I will take her. But yes, a couple of more messages about the dotted lines in the sky. It looks so weird, Lester. Anyone else seeing these in the southern suburbs? Any idea? A couple of messages here of all people seeing the same dotted lines in the sky, and it's more than likely it is Elon Musk's Starlink. Catherine, hope we have you on a better line. Yes.
So.
What is the profile of the Macro customer these days? Have you moved away from the small retailers coming to get the store goods at Macro stores?
Not at all, Lester. In fact, that's growing across South Africa. So we've always been looking after the smaller retailers across Macro and our cash and carry brands. You are the biggest wholesaler in the country by far, is Massmart. But if you pull it back into Macro is a brand that always asks people to get a card for more than 50 years. And we're a tale of three pieces. The first is a big wholesaler where people buy, where resellers buy bulk liquor, general merchandise and food. And then to your earlier point, you've got your smaller on-sellers, your tuck shops, your caterers, your hospitality areas, your B&Bs and the like that buy from our shop. And then we have this real growing piece, which is the wholesale value to the public, where people are going, hang on, I can really work out how to save here by doing a pantry load at Macro and getting product that you can't buy anywhere else. Because the shop is so huge, we have the 24 toilet roll pack and the large size sunlight liquid, and the oils and the mazes and the sugars and the rices in all different size packs. So people are really starting to think creatively on how they can pantry load and even share loads, Lester, where 3 or 4 families will share up a load of bulk purchase in our shop.
That's right. Look, the stockfile concept is not new in South Africa, but have you seen that in terms of families, groups of communities, stockfile operations say, we're contribute to the stockfile, and then once a quarter we do a massive shop from a bulk wholesaler, and this is going to save you and your family a couple of rands over the next few months. Is that something that you're seeing?
Yes, I mean, we've been in the stockfile business for decades. We do huge stockfiles, especially out of Crown Mines and Pietermaritzburg and the like. But I was sitting in the Pietermaritzburg macro about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I spoke to a lot of customers who were buying bulk and just sharing through 3 or 4 families. So a bit of call it a mini stockfile for a want of words, where people are going, hang on, let's save the diesel, go to macro, get a pantry load for 3 or 4 families, and, divide the bulk purchase. So I'm starting to see an increase in that, and even factoring in the cost of diesel, Lester, working out where's my closest store. And we see customers behave like that intra-month, where they'll go to macro once a month, and then they'll go to another store closer to their house intra-month, and then even possibly walk to a close spaza or little independent for your bread and your milk or whatever, because the diesel's finished, Lester. So I'm seeing a major trend on people really thinking and turning over every rand.
We've had retailers over the last while saying that because of the increase in operational costs for retailers, generators, solar panels to keep stores open, to keep producers open, manufacturing plants open, that they've seen an increase in costs, in operational costs. Fortunately, they've said, many retailers have said that we haven't yet passed that on to consumers when it comes to price. What are you seeing from your operations in how retailers are trying to safeguard consumers from the brunt of operational costs increases, largely brought in by load shedding?
So the thing about the South African consumer is extremely price savvy. Always has been, always will be. 2 or 3 times more price savvy than any other consumer in the world. And every retailer that competes on the landscape here knows that. So nobody can afford to pass that on to the consumer, because the consumer will move off to another retailer. It's quite as simple and as easy and as straightforward as that.
So the retail business at the moment is still quite competitive as
very competitive.
Consumers don't necessarily stay at one particular brand. They are literally scanning the advertisements in the knock and drops, looking for specials.
Absolutely correct, Lester. They are doing that, and toward that end, we for many years in Massmart have started to build on solar. So I mean, some of our macro stores are more than 50%. The electricity is generated from solar, so we're generating our own power in our shops. Game is in malls, but they'll beat any price. So that's how they compete with the market. They've always been a price beater, and Builders also has a lot of its own energy generative power. So we for decades have been working on becoming self-sustaining. And other retailers as well, Lester.
The Costco model in the United States, where there are retail stores, 2 consumer retail stores, which are growing. Membership is required, maybe even at a small fee. Do you see that model growing in South Africa, moving on from our small family supermarket stores, but people going to the Costco style shopping centers where literally it's trolleys upon trolleys on bulk goods, still trying to find a few pennies to stretch over the month?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you've got your Sam's Club and your Costco models that are global models. Macro is very similar to that, very much so. It's always had a membership, and there's certainly some very exciting things coming down the road for Macro, as it's geared towards saving the customers money so that they can live better. And that's why we're very proud that we won the grocery basket comparison, normally not looked at, relative to the standard grocers. So it was nice to see a bulk buyer, win that basket by quite a margin, Lester.
Catherine Madley, Vice President of Group Marketing at Masspot.